Slow travel is about seeking experiences rather than, having that checklist where you are just checking off that ye kar liya, ye kar liya, ye kar liya. So I remember it was during COVID and, I was just sitting at home and I literally made a Venn diagram of the things that I really want to do. When I was in Rishikesh for a month and people used to come and go during weekends, like, two-day thing. Rishikesh is a 3-day thing,
Right.
just coming for 2 days, 3 days. And I was there for a month and I got this question asked so many times that, what are you doing here for a month?
Quality over quantity. I think that should be the
Yes.
tagline for a lot
Yeah,
of
quality
things, but
over
it definitely
quantity,
applies.
Slow traveling you can do with your partner, you can do with your friends, and you can do it for 2 days also, and you can do it for 2 months also. It's up to you.
We travel not to escape life, but for life not to escape us. Welcome to the third episode of Mountain Days by Decathlon Sports India, your go-to destination for all things adventure and outdoor sports. I'm your host Mauna Nanaya, you also know me as Rucksack Diaries, and today we are embarking on a journey that goes beyond the rush of fast-paced living. It's time to embrace the beauty of the world in its unhurried rhythm. In this episode, we are unpacking slow travel, a concept that encourages us to savor the moments, connect with our surroundings, and truly immerse ourselves in the places we visit. We have Komal with us today. She's a slow traveling digital nomad for over 2.5 years. She has been traveling, sharing her experiences and honest travel stories with a growing community on Instagram. Hi Komal, welcome to the podcast. It's nice to have you join us today.
Hey Mona, thanks for having me here.
You are our first virtual guest. So how is Siliguri treating you? It must be like really beautiful out there.
Yeah, the weather is quite pleasant, and I can feel the virtual setup, honestly.
So
Yeah,
over
but
the
it's
weekend, if you
nice.
want, you can just go off to Darjeeling and Sikkim and like the base, right? You're at the base now of the mountains.
Yeah, you can say that, but you know how it works. When your home is near to places like that, you don't
don't
travel
go.
to nearby places. You always travel to
Right.
far off places. So it's the same
That,
for
that
me.
is
Yes.
true. That is true. When
Yeah.
people ask me what do I do for a day in Bangalore, I'm always wondering. I'm sorry. I don't know. I don't know. So I get
Same,
what
same.
you're
I have
saying.
no clue what to do in Siliguri for a day. I have literally no idea.
Right. So, how did slow travel start for you? First of all, I think I would like to ask you, what is slow travel? Because the minute I heard that this is what we're going to be
Yeah.
talking about, I started looking at, okay, what does slow travel mean? Does it mean, I'm taking 2 months off? Does it mean, can I do slow travel in 2 days? But we'll get to that. But to begin with, what does slow travel mean to you? And, how did this whole journey begin for you? What was the inspiration? Where did the concept come from? Where was the inspiration from? A little bit about that.
Right. So basically for me, slow travel is about seeking experiences rather than, having that checklist where you are just checking off that ye kar liya, ye kar liya, ye kar liya. I don't want it to be about that. I want it to be about the experiences that I am having. So and coming to the part of the inspiration, so I remember it was during COVID, and I was just sitting at home. I'm still working remotely, honestly, and I was just sitting at my home, and I literally made a Venn diagram of the things that I really want to do because I had a lot of time in hand, and I thought, okay, I'm good. I really like photography, I like videography, and I like traveling. So how can I can club all of this together and bring it to something. And I always wanted to travel, but everything happens in its own sweet time. So I think during COVID I realized, okay, I really want to do this, and I just embarked on a 2-month journey to Uttarakhand. So I was in the remote locations of Nainital, like Uttarakhand near Nainital, and then I went to Rishikesh. So it is during that journey, when I was in Rishikesh for a month, and people used to come and go during weekends, like, two-day thing. Rishikesh is a 3-day thing,
Right.
just coming for 2
Right.
days, 3 days. And I was there for a month and I got this question asked so many times that, what are you doing here for a month? Like,
What are you
what's the
doing for a
point
month?
of,
Yeah.
like, kar kya rahe ho yahan pe? Chale jao.
Lakshman Jula, right? Lakshman Jula, Ram
Yeah,
Jula,
yeah.
and rafting, and the bungee
Right.
jumping, and you're done. So what are you doing?
You're
for a
done.
month?
Yeah,
Right.
like sightseeing to ho gaya na. You have already checked off
Huh.
the places. Like, the typical definition of traveling is this only, that you see this, see place
Right.
A, B, C, D, and then you are done.
Right.
But I
Yeah.
know how I was feeling at that point of time, when the added reason was also because I was in home for quite some time, but I had traveled earlier, and it was mostly weekend destinations, like, going to Gokarna for 2 days, Mysore for 2 days, because I was in Bangalore before that. And then I
Okay.
realized, no. Then I realized, no, I don't want to do that. Like, this is so nice when I just get to see the Ganga Aarti every day, when I get to walk on Lakshman
Wow.
Jhula, and, just see the flea market every single day, and you figure out something new, and you buy something new, you
Yeah.
come back home. That excitement where you just get to know a place, where you feel the place. That is the
Right.
feeling that I started, looking for. Okay, now I want to feel that again. It was like a dopamine hit. Okay, I want to do it again. I want to do it again.
A good dopamine hit.
Yeah, a good dopamine hit. So it was not about, seeing places, checking off my list. It was about
Yeah.
having those experiences and taking my own sweet time to have those experiences. And that's how it all began.
What a great place to have that realization.
Yeah.
Rishikesh is one
Yes,
of the.
yes.
It's called as the spiritual capital of India. So to cut off from what the rules and regulations are
Yeah.
that we believe, or the textbook definition of what we believe
Yeah.
travel is like, and to cut off from that, I think Rishikesh is a beautiful place where you chose to have that
Right.
enlightenment. So.
Right.
So you've mentioned that you were there in Rishikesh for a couple of months. In Uttarakhand, you also were there for a couple of months. So
Yeah.
is that journey lonely? I mean, first of all, you do this solo, right? So is that
Yeah.
lonely? Is it hard to find friends and fellow travelers who sort of tread on the same path, or have you met people who actually know about slow traveling, and then you become companions for that journey?
I think solo travel itself sometimes can be lonely. It is not about slow traveling, it is about solo traveling itself.
True,
Sometimes
true.
can be lonely, because it's not important that you will find the right set of people every single time. You are going to be alone in this journey. Some or the other time it is going to happen. But the advantage comes when you are slow traveling, because you get to stay at a place for quite some time. Now, it's not necessary that when you are slow traveling you get to spend, like, 1 month you have to stay at one place, or 2 weeks you have to stay. It's not important. But in my case that happened because I was at that, like, I was staying at a place for for a couple of days, and then you get to meet the same people again and again, and then they also start to knowing you. For example, the locals, especially, people come and go every single day, but the locals who are staying over there, they see you every single day, and then you start into that conversation, and that is when the deeper connection starts happening. So right now I have local friends in Sikkim also, in Rishikesh also. So these are my local friends. The travelers that I meet along the journey, definitely I meet them and they stay for a couple of days and then they go away. But then the local friends that I have made in different places, that is the deeper connection, like, the good kind of connection, where you get to know a place also in a very different kind of way. Because once they start trusting you, it's like, come, I'll show you something that you have never seen before. So I just wait for that right moment to hit. I'm like, oh, now is the time. So it can be it can be lonely, but solo traveling is itself lonely. Slow traveling you can do with your partner, you can do with your friends, and you can do it for 2 days also, and you can do it for 2 months also. It's up to you.
So the concept of slow traveling, is that something that you read somewhere, or is this something that exists in the world? I mean, of course, there are people who take that time off and go on a journey with a planned itinerary, or they spend more time. They do stay in a place, work there, volunteer, all of these things. So is that slow travel, or a little bit into what exactly is slow traveling? What is the differentiation from? Of course, there's a differentiation between tourism and slow traveling, and in traveling in general. But what changes did you see when you were trying to go to a weekend destination for the couple of days you have, 48 hours, and then when you started slow traveling, what was the changes? Like the slow travel change itself?
I think it is a very common thing that when you are going to travel to a location, or when you have a checklist, for example, you come back home burned out. Travel is somehow related to burned out. Travel burnout is real, and I have seen people having it every single time. In my family itself, I have seen people going to a location for 7 days and coming back home burned out. कि now I want 2 more days at my home so that I can get back to my work again. But for me, travel, so there are two types of travelers. One is the vacationers who will just go and not do anything, and then there is another who just wants to do everything. I sort of come in between. I'm like, travel that feels like a vacation. That is what slow traveling is for me. Travel in the right pace that that suits you, because leading to a burnout is not something that you're supposed to do. Like it should not lead to burnout. And even when I'm going to a location for 48 hours, for me, I choose the experiences, and I do not try to do everything. For me, it is about, okay, I want to do these 2 or 3 things, and if I have done that, I'm good. If I want to do more and if I have the energy to do more, I will do it. But my soul will be satisfied if I have done these 3 things. That is what it is for me. Like,
okay.
That's it. So I don't think of,
what resonates with your way of traveling, your thought process, your emotions. You pick tourist, even though they're tourist activities, you still pick them based on your needs if you really need them.
Correct. So I'll give you an example. So last month I was in Bali, and you might have seen on Instagram all those Bali swing pictures and the Gate of Heaven picture. So
and the red dress.
And the dress, the flowing dress. Okay. So if it is something that is going to make you really, really happy, do it. Okay, but there are 10,000 other experiences that you can do that is going to make you that you can opt for. It is just something that is not very famous on Instagram. So for me, I just figure that out, like wearing a flowing dress and waiting in line for 4 hours to get that picture. Is it going to make me happy? No, it's not going to make me happy. So instead I chose, like, I wanted to do the ATV ride, and I was like, I really want to do this. So is that going to make me happy? Yes. So every destination has different things to offer. In Bali also, different areas has different things. You can do there is a party area, there is the cultural exploration area. So if you want to do it all, even if you're not a party person or a cultural exploration kind of person who is interested in that, it's not going to make you happy. So instead of trying to see everything and doing everything, just choose what you like. If you like to party, go to the party area. Just have fun.
That's fine.
If you like to, explore, just do that. So just choose experiences according to you like, the way you like to travel. That is what it is all about.
Okay, that was an eye opener, because I think of late also on social media what has happened is we tend to believe that this is the only way of travel, and that applies to everything. That applies to somebody who's trying to go to the tourist destinations, and that's fine, right? I mean, if I go anywhere with my parents, they would never want to do anything that's offbeat. They would, they would have listened to their colleagues and friends, and they would want to hit the 5 spots that everybody else has done, and that's what makes them happy, and then you should be able to do it. That's actually a very valid point. There is no right and wrong places to visit. The point is doing what you like and not checking it off because you want to check it off. That makes absolute sense. So do you know any other people who slow travel, or is it a smaller community? Is it a community? Is it a growing community? Are there more people doing it?
I think people outside India are doing it. Still, it is a very small community. I don't know anyone personally who is doing it. And in India, it is still a very growing term. Like, people still don't know about it. I think before I started talking about it, I did not see anyone else talking about it as such, that, okay, we should do this. I remember when I posted first about it, I knew that if I immediately start using the term slow travel, nobody will even understand what I'm talking about. Or I'll make a reel out of it, nobody will watch it.
Nobody will. Because they probably would think that you're just sitting on a beach for like 2 months and that's it, that's slow travel.
So I just made a whole carousel out of it, like what is slow travel, how you should do it, and I started explaining.
I saw that.
So I just made that, and the reason behind that was, at least the people who are following me on Instagram, at least they should know. If not new people, at least they should know that what exactly it is. And then there were comments on that post that said, oh, I like this way of traveling, but I had no idea that this is what it is called. So that gave me, like, it was a very good feeling that, how when we can define something, it becomes easier to explain someone else that this is what I like.
That's true.
When you don't have words, you don't know what to say. When, like, right now, this entire definition of seeking experiences, liking this and that, is termed in 2 words, slow travel. So it's very easy to define this. but when you don't have words, it's not easy. So I think yeah, people are getting aware, and I'll try to build up to that.
And like you mentioned that the journey started from COVID. I think COVID
Yeah.
with touch wood everything it did also
Yeah.
did enable a lot of people to look at the world differently.
Yeah.
And
Correct.
that's one of the things that came out of your experience also, right? So do you think you are a 9 to 5 job person, and
Yeah.
that also enables you to be out there and actually take time out to travel and
Yeah.
work at the same time? But if somebody is not able to be there remotely, not work
Yeah.
remotely, then
Yeah.
how do you think someone can probably travel slowly? Like somebody like me in Bangalore, I have to go to office and I have weekends, I have vacations. Where do you think I can start with slow travel?
I think this is a very big myth that people believe that it is about having a lot of time. I will say, even if you have one day, choose one experience that you really want to do. Like plan your travel around your experiences, not checking off the list. So even if you have one
Right.
day, you just do the thing that will make you absolutely happy. Do that, and then if you have enough time and energy, it's in your hand if you want to do more things. You want to do more things, you do it. You don't want to do it, you don't do it. If you want to just sit by the beach and not do anything, it's your day, your time. It's totally up to you how you
Right.
want to spend your time. So it's not about
Absolutely.
just having a lot of time in hand. It's about making good use of the time that you already have in hand. It's about quality over quantity. Yeah.
Got it. Quality over quantity. I think that should be the
Yes.
tagline for a lot
Yeah,
of things, but
quality
it
over
definitely
quantity.
applies.
Yes.
Definitely applies here. So we spoke
Yeah.
about the journey being lonely, and you as rightfully mentioned that solo travel can get lonely, and it can be something that a lot of people might find difficult to get into. But is there any anecdotes that you would like to share of? You also mentioned the intense connections that you do build with the locals.
Yeah.
Any anecdote, any such instance that you'd like to share with us that has happened that
Yeah,
pops up in your mind?
yeah. It is a very recent experience. So I was in Vietnam, and I had recently I booked a hostel in Ho Chi Minh City for only a day. And when I arrived at a hostel, it was around 5-6 p.m. So it was already dark, and I did not really
Okay.
like the hostel much because the dorm was not nice. And the next morning, I just woke up early in the morning. I was wandering around, and I was just checking that where else can I stay, but I couldn't find any better stay. And then I decided, okay, I'll stay here for one more day, and then tomorrow I'll leave. Today I'll figure out where I have to go next.
Okay.
In that day, the hostel was actually hosting a family dinner kind of thing in their hostel. So 40 to 45 people joined, and I met such good people there. And I realized if I would have left today, by just staying here for one day, if I would have left, I would have never met these people. And I ended up staying in that hostel for 8 more days, and I realized the hostel is quite nice. I love the hostel, I love the people, I love the people I met, and I also love the people who were running the hostel. And they are still my friends. We follow each other on Instagram, and we just keep on messaging each other, how are you? So staying, I did planned only for 2 days. I was like, I'll stay in this hostel for 2 days. I did not like it even for a day, and then I was searching for something else, but then I found such good people around me, not just from hostel but from around the world, and they're still my friends, and I'm so glad I stayed there for 8 days. And it is one of the most nice experience I had in Vietnam. It was not the places that I saw, it was the people I met there.
Nice.
That is something that I'm
It's
going to
most-
cherish.
It's like it's building not followers or counts
Yeah.
of something, but a community. End of the day. for
Yes,
you.
yes.
It's beautiful.
Yes, yes.
But that reminds me that I think in 2021, which was again the COVID year,
Yeah.
me and my husband, we decided, okay, we have to go to the mountains. So we took our motorcycle and then we just went. We rode for
Yeah.
about. We rode around 6,000, 7,000 kilometers or something from Bangalore. We went to Spiti. We did have, I think in mountains like Spiti and Ladakh, there is the major tourist destinations that you would like to hit,
Yeah.
right? Like the Somoriri
Yeah.
and Pangong. So
Yeah,
in
yeah.
Spiti, we
Yeah.
also finished all of that. And for the
Yeah.
rest of the 2-3 weeks, we were just there.
Yeah.
We found a homestay, which was not even a homestay. They just were running a room, and we started staying there for 2 to 3 weeks. And they got a dog. We named that pup with them. I've made momos with them in the kitchen, and it was so beautiful. At the end of the day, the provision store guy knew us. And I think that is where we really felt that, okay, this was a beautiful journey and this was something we're going to remember. And we still obviously are in touch and are connected. And I remember buying incense sticks. The day I bought incense sticks to the room, I knew this is not just a hotel room or something anymore.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful, beautiful
and
way.
I'm sure even
we
after...
are not conscious.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm sure even after coming back, that is something that you'll remember the most. Not seeing
I still have the incense sticks.
Yeah. Pangong Lake is beautiful, but that connection you would have made, that is something that you're going to carry for the rest of your life. You're gonna have that sense of feeling inside always.
Right.
Yeah.
And now
I chase that feeling.
I know that when next time I'm going to plan to Spiti, I already know that I got to go and visit them. I might not stay there. It might be a different plan, but I have to go and visit them. So it's probably something that a lot of people are doing, but are not consciously aware, that they are slow traveling. So that's nice.
Yeah.
So tell me if somebody today wants to just get up after watching this podcast and they're like, I'm going to go and slow travel. Tell me where should they start? How can they do that? How do they plan?
You can go anywhere you want, but there are some destinations that make it easier for sure. For me, Rishikesh is one of them. It helps you wind down. Goa is known for its Suzegard life. There's a term Suzegard, which is like, that laid back way of living. So Goa is known for that attitude of living, yes. So Goa is another destination. Third is Varanasi. Varanasi is so beautiful. It's so beautiful. You should go. It's so beautiful. You'll just feel like sitting there and not doing anything and just being there on the ghat, seeing
and
Ganga.
I imagine the chart is going to be, I remember the chart in Rishikesh also next to the ghat. Oh my god, they put the most amazing dahi and sweet in it. Oh my god, why am I remembering it now?
Tell me about it. It's so beautiful.
I think the food also is something that you'll absolutely enjoy instead of just eating something because you have to catch a bus. Instead, you'll know where to go, find the food that you would enjoy and actually enjoy it. So, true. Alright, so we have few places that people can visit. Are there a few things that you are tempted to do, but you don't because you're slow traveling? Is that something that happens? Any regrets that you later come back and think, okay, if I was probably checking off list, then this is something I would have added, but I didn't do it now for whatever reasons.
I don't have regrets, but sometimes there is a feeling where I feel like ये भी कर ही लेते, अब इतने दूर आए हैं तो ये भी हो ही जाता. There is that because places are not close to you, they are very very far. You're going to a far off place and then you are like इतने दूर आए हैं तो ये भी कर ही लेते हैं. That feeling is there, but then I just and sometimes I do that when I know that I have the energy to hop from one place to another. I do that, but I my goal is to not feel burned out at the end of the day. My goal is not to feel like now I don't feel like traveling only. People ask me, how are you traveling for such a longer duration? It's been 2 months you're traveling solo internationally. I tell them I don't travel every single day. If I'm traveling today, I'm taking 3 days in my dorm room just chilling and not doing anything. I'm in my hostel sitting by the swimming pool doing my own work because I'm also working remotely. So it is just about finding the right balance. You just find the right balance. One day you are doing a lot of things, second day you're not doing anything, third day you are traveling and also chilling. So it's just about doing what suits you the best. And it's your own time, and that is where solo traveling comes into picture because I'm not bounded by that restriction that people around me are getting affected by the way I travel. So solo traveling also helps because it is totally up to me how I want to do things. It's not up to some other person who is getting affected by the way I travel. That's why I love solo traveling because of that reason. I'm like, I don't want to bother you, you don't bother me, I'm okay, you are okay. It's like that.
As a unit, me and my husband also have the same rule that we are a unit. We are not solo traveling, we are obviously together, but you do you, we'll do we. So that works And I think more and more people are also taking up solo traveling in India, especially. Earlier there was a lot of myth and a lot of insecurity with the concept, but with the onset of the digitization of India. Earlier I used to have to carry cash, you have to think about ATMs, you have to think about petrol bunks, so many things when you're doing when you're traveling, and I think all of that's sort of coming in place for us to explore and get out of the box, right? So that's definitely helpful. So are there any specific gears or rather things that you definitely mandatorily carry with you? Not related to solo travel, but related to slow travel that helps you do that.
I think I just try to keep my bag as lightweight as possible, and I fail every single time. Like, for some reason my bag is stuffed with things, and I just now I consciously buy stuff which is lightweight, whether it's a tripod or whether it's something else, and like you asked me, a specific gear which I'm not able to buy is a DSLR, because DSLR is a heavy gadget, plus right. I'm traveling solo all the time, and plus for longer durations I stay at places which is not very safe for gadgets, like I stay in hostels, so I try to keep it as minimal as possible, although I do have expensive gears with me, and I try to take care of that as much as possible. But yeah, if I would have been traveling with someone else, maybe I would have carried some more stuff, like a DSLR or something like that, but I just try to keep it minimal, lightweight and minimal.
So now coming to the food, we spoke about the yummy chaat in Rishikesh and Varanasi. So adding to that, as a travel influencer, as a slow travel influencer, what is the effect of slow travel on your culinary experiences?
For me, it's a con. For other people, it can be a pro. For me, it's a con because I'm not a very experimental foodie, I just like having the regular stuff. So I don't really experiment much with food. But when you are traveling slow and, when you are at a place for some amount of time, I just get bored of the food that I'm eating. And you definitely get to try more things, but because I'm not an experimental foodie, I don't feel like doing that a lot. Plus I'm a vegetarian, so even that restricts my number of options. So, overall I feel like it is not proving very helpful for me, because I like mere ghar ka khana, I like to have what I am generally eating. I definitely try new food, but I'm not very fond of it, to be very honest. But if someone is an experimental foodie who likes to explore a lot of, food culture, for them it can be proved amazing, like slow travel, because then you get to eat so many different kind of things, like, on an everyday basis, and there's you can explore different options. In my case, I explore different cafes, I explore different, I eat the same food, but from different locations. Mostly the same food that I'm having here. So location wise and the taste wise it can be different, but I don't really experiment much with food. So
I kind of understand where you're coming from, because I mentioned the one time I've slow traveled is in Spiti at the end of 40 days, 5 more days to come back home, and I just couldn't stop craving rasam. I even went to the store to check if there's an instant rasam mixed with hot water, and can I just have that with rice. So I totally am in with you with the culinary experience. But for somebody who is a foodie, they would absolutely love it. Different types of momos from different types of cafes and local vendors. That would be amazing. So what is the impact of slow travel? It is really that question, if one can individually make a difference. I think on your social media post, I read that you mentioned that it is something that is definitely sustainable and also impacts the local economy. Would you something to add to that?
So I'll tell you both the environment perspective and also traveler's perspective. So as a traveler, when you are slow traveling, you get to have deeper connections, for sure. That genuinely happens, and there is a greater sense of empathy and awareness that personally I have felt. Like, when you are seeking experiences and not checking off list, you are actually traveling, and even when you are not experiencing something huge, you are just sitting by the beach and looking at the sea. even that point of time you feel things that you might not feel when you are in a rush and just ticking off places. So I was in Varanasi, and this was during Mahashivratri time, and
Wow.
a lot of people came and they left, and I was still there. And after 2 weeks, when it was my last day in Varanasi, at that point of time I was on the boat and I was passing by the Ganga Aarti. I was just sitting there all by myself. There were few people around me, but then there was this sense of uh, soul nourishing feeling, that I was feeling like, oh, the sense of awareness, the people around you,
Yeah.
the water, the Ganga Aarti, everything. I could feel everything. So I felt a greater sense of awareness for sure. And I felt like I want to do this again. And just imagine feeling burned out after travel, and just imagine on the last day of 2 weeks, if I'm feeling like that, what would
Right.
you prefer, this or that? So just try it on your own and see if you like it or not. You just have to let go of your checklist. Coming to the environmental impact, I think if you remember during COVID, like before COVID, a lot of people were traveling, but this concept of work from mountains or work from hills, it was not very, like it was not a very
Popular one. Yeah.
yeah, popular term also. Like people did not know that this
Yeah.
was also something that they can do, like work from mountains. But then there was a demand, and then there was supply, right? There was a demand
Right.
of people wanting to work from mountains because they are so tired of sitting at home and working. And then people started building more remote work locations, and a lot of hostels have very good Wi-Fi connections, when earlier Wi-Fi was not even a thing as such, to work at least. Like you can use your phone,
Right.
but it was not for working remotely. So when one person started wanting it, two persons started wanting it, and a lot of people started wanting this one kind of thing, it started to have a change in the trend of the tourism itself. I think similar impact can happen when slow traveling is something, when a larger amount of people are wanting to do it. Like when a large amount of people are wanting to slow travel, first you can actually impact the local economies for sure, because when you are staying at a place, you eat from the nearby places, and you're not trying to just Google and see which one has the 5-star rating or which one is popular on Instagram. You just find a place on your own, and you are just supporting the local economies there itself. You're staying at a nice place, and every day you're not taking Uber or Ola. Instead you are uh, like taking public transports, walking, taking a cycle, something like that. So you are eventually supporting the local economy, and you are taking fewer flights, eventually leading to less carbon footprint from your side. So for example, if you are at a place for 7 days or 10 days, and instead of traveling from all those 7 days, you decide I want to be at this place and next place I'll go. So instead of 5 places, you are going to only 2 places, and then you are coming back. So eventually your impact, and then imagine the impact of so many people doing it at the same time. So overall, collectively, there can be a larger impact for sure.
That's actually a very valid point, because Wi-Fi was an add-on earlier, but now it is something that's given, because there, as you said, there was demand and there's supply. But this also sort of opens up even the local people to use that Wi-Fi. It's not something that's only fancily available for tourists or your guests anymore. So this again opens up their world, and the local. It opens up our world. It opens up their world. So it's a win-win situation at this point. So on that note, thanks for sharing all the tidbits and your stories and your anecdotes. But I'm not going to let you go yet. We have a very fun segment. I'm just going to get my cue cards for that. Question 1. The funniest thing I've heard about slow travel is,
इतना time नहीं है.
if only people knew, this slow travel would get so much easier.
To let go of their checklist.
Don't slow travel if you
Are a if you are a pro planner who just wants to plan every single minute of your day, don't do slow travel then.
The best thing that happened to me because of slow travel is,
forming deeper connections, like finding better friends, having better people to connect with.
okay, this is an interesting one. I'm not interested in traveling with you
if you are not flexible, if you just want everything to be planned hour by hour, you want a detailed itinerary कि इसके बाद हम क्या करने वाले हैं, don't travel with me because मुझे खुद को नहीं पता होता हम क्या करने वाले हैं, तो it's better not to travel with me. I'm not the right person.
I have noted this down. I think the podcast listeners willing to travel with you will also note this down. Throw everything else and then just go with Komal. Okay.
Yeah.
My next travel destination is.
I'm going to Goa with my friends to live the Suzegard life.
Oh my God! Nice, amazing. So since you're going to Goa, the next question is tricky. If there is one place in India that nobody can afford to miss, is?
I think. Oh, I know this. This is Varanasi for sure. Not afford to miss. The reason behind that is because
I did not expect that answer.
You know how people call it the living city, like कि वो शहर जिंदा है. They say it and सुन के ऐसा लगता है ना कि मतलब क्या ही है. But when you go there ना, you can actually feel that, and it is only possible when you stay there for a while. When you will sit at Manikarnika Ghat and you will see the bodies burning, there is a sense of feeling. There is a sense, you feel that everything is between birth to death. You get that feeling when you are sitting there, and for that you have to stay there to get that feeling. तो मेरे को लगता है वन प्लेस यू शुड नॉट मिस, क्योंकि दुनिया भर से लोग आ रहे हैं इंडिया में वाराणसी कि बनारस देखते हैं. इट्स द ओल्डेस्ट लिविंग सिटी, सो यू शुड डेफिनेटली गो देयर. बीइंग एन इंडियन, इट्स वेरी इजीली एक्सेसिबल आल्सो.
The definition or the note that we call Varanasi the living city, and the way you explained sitting on Manikarnika Ghat how you feel, I think there's a definite one-to-one mapping and connection. So last two questions. A movie you should definitely watch when you're slow traveling. You said you don't have a playlist, but there definitely has to be a movie you're watching.
My go-to movie is Jab We Met. So it is not very slow travel specific, but I love watching that movie. I can watch it any time I want. एकदम मैं अपनी फेवरेट हूँ वाला मोड में आने के लिए कि मतलब मैं बस अपनी फेवरेट हूँ. तो for that I have to watch Jab We Met to get into that main character energy of my life. So yeah, that movie, absolutely.
And I think also in general, if we look at it like a romantic movie, but they do just jump on a train, meet people and reach somewhere, and I think there
is a connection. Yeah.
Okay, last question. One travel advice on the internet that people need to stop listening to. Band karo. Okay, stop it. I think people get influenced by people like us who post on Instagram कि मतलब life तो ऐसी होनी चाहिए, but they are not aware of the 99% of the things that we are not posting, the struggles and the how we are getting there, the everyday things that we are doing. So I think that is something that people should stop glamorizing their life by looking at Instagram, क्योंकि life is not Instagram. Life happens beyond Instagram. Life is after Instagram. So Instagram is just a place where we are posting mostly happy things, travel things. For me, I'm a travel content creator. For you, we are posting travel stuff. But our life is not Instagram, right? हमारा life उसके beyond बहुत कुछ होता है. Even when we are traveling, we don't post 100% of the things that are happening. Every small struggle, every small thing. Good things also sometimes we are not posting because it's like नजर लग जाएगी. How it happens. कि ठीक है ये रहन देते हैं. तो I think people should stop thinking that उसकी life कितनी perfect है, and the worst thing that people should tell someone is तेरा तो सही है. I just don't like hearing that because it's like तेरा तो सही है. It's like okay. It's an insult
because they don't understand how मेरा सही हुआ है, कि कैसे सही किया गया, and every day कोशिश किया जा रहा है सही करने के लिए. तो तेरा तो सही है. You are very lucky. I don't like hearing that, and people should stop saying that to each other. You don't know what's happening behind.
Getting to the point to believe that someone's life is so beautiful based on what you're seeing and not really experiencing it with them side by side, I think is definitely we should ditch. And life's not, and Instagram or rather social media is not a legal document. It's entertainment. I think we should definitely stick to that. So I'm going to put my cue cards down. That's the end of the segment. And last question for you. All of this that we spoke of, you've been doing it for 2.5 years. And I hope you continue to do this for a longer duration as long as your soul is full. But I have one last question. So what sustains this? You've done it for 2.5 years. To do it for 2.5 years more, what are you looking forward to? What makes you sustain this style?
I think So like I told you, right, I'm remotely working. So there was this one time I took vacation for 5 days because I thought I really want to see Kerala एकदम अच्छे से. So I went from Wayanad to Kochi to Alleppey. In 5 days from Wayanad I reached Alleppey, and in those 5 days I felt a travel burnout, and that was real. Like I felt like बिल्कुल मज़ा नहीं आ रहा. तो I used to travel like that जब मेरे पास वो प्रोविज़न नहीं था कि मैं ऐसे ट्रैवल कर सकती हूँ. बट अब आज के डेट में जब वो पॉसिबल है, आई वुड नेवर वांट टू गो बैक टू ट्रैवलिंग द वे आई वाज ट्रैवलिंग पहले व्हेन आई वाज इन कॉलेज, लाइक 2 days. जिसको वो समझ में आता है वो कर सकते हैं. एंड इवन देन आई एम गोइंग टू अ छोटा डेस्टिनेशन, मैं मोस्टली एक जगह पे बैठी रहती हूँ. आई एम जस्ट doing one type of thing and not 10 different type of things. So I think rushing from one place to another, I don't think it is going to come from inside. I can't rush from one place to another. Yeah. नहीं तो कैसे होगा ना? How will you sustain करने के लिए you have to do it one day at a time, live one day at a time, travel one day at a time.
Yeah, if not, you'll always be looking for breaks instead of making it a way of life. So,
yeah.
Awesome. On that note, thank you so much, Komal. All the podcast listeners can follow her on Instagram and, get more insights into the world of slow travel. Probably started yourself, and I hope that you all have learned a little bit. I definitely have learned the definitions and the, have I been also doing this and should I restart a lot of these questions that I'm going to retrospect and talk about. So I hope all of you have also, got enough to talk about this further and take the conversation forward. Follow Decathlon Sports India YouTube channel. Stay updated about the next episodes, and I'm going to see you all in the next episode. Thank you, Komal, for joining us. It was amazing having you here.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to be a part of this podcast.
On that note, I will see the rest of you in the next episode, which is all about DIY travel, and I'm pretty sure you want to know how can I do it myself. See you. So now we have a fun segment, blah 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 blah. Then we have a very fun segment. I'm just going to get my cue cards for that.
Sure.
Yes, I need the cue cards. The funniest thing I heard about slow travel is.
I forgot what I have to say because now I have to focus on the performance for some reason.
And for the first virtual episode, it kind of felt good energy, no? Yeah. It was like, this is going to be like team Zoom calls. Ding, 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 ding. Oh!